Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're tackling something that honestly feels like science fiction made real. We're talking about running the Linux kernel. You know, the heart of the open source world, directly inside a normal web browser tab.
Yeah, it sounds pretty wild, right? For ages, that was just, well, a pipe dream. Running a whole OS core like that meant heavy software like VMware, VirtualBox, or, installing it directly.
Exactly. The idea of just clicking a link, maybe on GitHub, and getting a command prompt instantly, that was mostly just for very slow, niche emulators.
Uh-huh. But things have really, really changed. The ground has shifted.
To get a sense of how big a deal this is, just think back. Remember maybe early 2010s when Emscripten let us run stuff like classic Doom in a browser?
Oh, yeah, I remember that. Or those complex code editors appearing online.
Right, this Linux kernel thing.
Yeah.
It takes that leap in web power and, I don't know, multiplies it by 1,000. It feels that significant.
And what makes this a duck dive moment is that we now have solid data showing it's not just a trick, it's actually viable. And this really came into focus with one key event. November 2025, a developer, Joel Severin, released this functional, pretty performant demo.
A demo of his Linux kernel port, specifically for WebAssembly, or WASM.
Precisely.
So our mission today, for you listening, is pretty straightforward. We want to cut through the jargon. What does kernel and WebAssembly actually mean? Why isn't it just a cool tech demo? Why could this genuinely change things?
And we're going to back this up. We'll be looking at the latest info from places like Heronix, LWN.net, and even some key academic papers from just this year, 2025.
And we want to show you how this shifts the whole calculation. Because, I mean, if your OS can run in a browser tab,
Then what does that really mean for needing traditional servers long term? That's the big question looming.
that's the one we'll keep coming back to. But okay, first things first, let's break down the basics. When we say Linux kernel, what are we actually talking about?
Right. So the kernel is basically the absolute core of the operating system. It's brain, if you like. It's the low-level software that manages literally everything. Memory allocation, deciding which programs run when, talking to the actual hardware.
It's the foundation. Linux itself, born back in 91, it's everywhere now. Servers, Android phones, supercomputers.
It really is. So trying to get that core piece of software running inside a web browser, historically that was like asking an elephant to dance ballet, as someone put it.
Possible, maybe, with things like JS Linux, those older, pure JavaScript emulators,
Yeah.
but painfully slow.
Exactly. Impractical for any real work. And that's where WebAssembly WASM comes in. It's the magic bridge.
And it's important to stress WASM isn't JavaScript, right?
Absolutely not. It's often confused, but it's a totally different beast. It's a binary instruction format, very efficient, designed for the web. It became a W3C standard back in 2019.
And the crucial part.
The crucial part is it lets code compiled from languages like C or C++, which is what the Linux kernel is mostly written in, run at almost native speed.
Wow, okay. Near native speed, but inside the browser's security sandbox.
Precisely. So you get the speed without the usual performance hit of interpretation or heavy emulation, and you get the browser security protecting your system.
So we're basically taking the kernel's C code, compiling it to this WASM format, and the browser just runs it.
That's the gist of it, yeah. And this isn't just us saying it works. There's academic backing, too. Papers, like one from SPLS back in 2019, were already talking about WASM as this potential universal compute platform.
Not just for websites, but for serious computation.
Right. It sets the stage for taking something complex and machine-specific, like Linux, and putting it safely in what one source nicely called a web aquarium.
I like that, a web aquarium.
Huh.
The fish is still powerful, but its world is that browser tab.
Exactly.
Okay, let's dive into Joel Severin's specific achievement then. He ported kernel 6.11, right? A modern version.
Yes, 6.11. And this wasn't a weekend hack. He used serious tools, LLVM, the big compiler infrastructure.
The one Apple uses.
That's the one. He used LLVM to target WASM and apparently used Rust for parts of the runtime environment. Proper engineering.
So what's the experience like? You go to the demo page. What happens?
It boots surprisingly fast. Seconds, really. You see that classic booting Linux message scroll by.
That must be satisfying to see in a browser.
It really is. And then you get dropped into a BusyBox shell.
Okay, so not a full graphical desktop like Ubuntu or Fedora.
No. BusyBox is this tiny stripped-down toolkit. It gives you the basic Unix commands, alls to list files, cat to view them, check logs, things like that. But the key thing is you are interacting with a real modern Linux kernel core, and it costs 0 server resources apart from just downloading the initial files.
That's the mind-bending part. A full OS core, taking commands, needing nothing but Chrome or Firefox. So is it fast enough? Is it just cool or genuinely useful?
Well, that's where the data comes in. There was a study, ACM SIGO PS in 2025, that actually measured it. They found it's roughly 7 times slower than running Linux natively on the same hardware.
7 times slower. That sounds like quite a hit.
It is compared to bare metal. But here's the crucial comparison. It's twice as fast as the traditional JavaScript-based emulators.
Ah, okay. So it's a huge leap forward for web-based OS emulation, not replacing your desktop install tomorrow, but proving the concept.
Exactly. And it validates the potential for actual work. The benchmarks also showed something called syscall throughput.
That's like how fast the OS can handle core requests.
Pretty much, yeah. And that was around 80% of native speed. That's surprisingly good.
80%, that's high.
It really is. And that's where you start seeing the potential business implications. If core operations are that fast, client side.
Then maybe you don't need that back-end server for compiling code or running tests or simple development tasks.
That's the disruptive idea, isn't it? It starts to chip away at the necessity of managing all that expensive back-end infrastructure for certain use cases.
Fascinating. Now, Severin's project is the recent trigger, but this space is heating up, right? Are there others doing similar things?
Oh, definitely. It's not happening in a vacuum. There's WASM Linux, which is really focused on something called ABI portability.
ABI, Application Binary Interface.
Yeah,
Like the rules for how programs talk to the kernel.
exactly. Making that seamless in WASM is their goal. And then there's WebVM 2.0 from Leaning Technologies. They've been around a bit longer. And their recent updates, late 2024, 2025,
Yeah.
they've actually managed to get a full graphical Linux desktop, even with X11 for GUIs running in the browser.
Whoa, okay. A graphical desktop, that's another level.
It is. So yeah, multiple serious players pushing this boundary. It confirms it's a real trend, not a one-off experiment.
Right. It's a paradigm shift in the making. Okay, let's get into the mechanics a bit more. How does it actually work without real hardware underneath? What's the trick?
Well, the kernel itself doesn't know it's in a browser. The trick is clever simulation inside that WASM sandbox. The WASM module essentially pretends to be hardware. It creates a virtual CPU, virtual memory, basic interfaces.
All within the confines of the browser tab.
Correct. And to get that speed we talked about, it hooks into newer browser technologies like WebGPU when it's available for hardware acceleration.
Okay, makes sense. But you mentioned limitations. What's the biggest architectural hurdle right now?
The main one is that it's currently 32-bit.
Ah, and most modern stuff needs 64-bit.
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah.
Especially anything needing lots of memory. The project says they're aiming for 64-bit support in 2026, but that's a big technical jump. It requires some really complex emulation tricks within WASM to make that work seamlessly. It's non-trivial.
Understood. Now, before we get to the why you should care part, security, we have to talk about security. Running a whole OS kernel, even a virtual one, inside my browser. Doesn't that sound, I don't know, risky? Could it break out?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? And thankfully, there's been research here, too. Usenix OZDI paper from 2024 looks specifically at running untrusted kernels this way.
And the verdict.
The verdict was pretty clear. The WebAssembly sandbox is key. It's designed to be a strong container. So even if the Linux kernel inside the WASM module crashes or gets exploited somehow, the damage should be contained entirely within that browser tab. It shouldn't be able to escape and mess with your actual computer.
Okay, that's crucial reassurance the sandbox holds. Phew. Right then, practical applications. If you're listening, maybe you're a developer, maybe you're in education, maybe enterprise IT. Why should this breakthrough matter to you?
Well, for developers, think about online IDEs, integrated development environments. Imagine firing one up and having a native Linux environment instantly available for compiling complex C++ code, or running intricate tests without needing any backend server setup just for that.
It just runs on your machine, inside the browser, lowering the barrier significantly.
Massively. Or think about education, computer science classes. Instead of messing with USB drives, different laptop setups, complex virtual machine configs, imagine just giving students a URL. Click. Instant Ubuntu shell. Everyone on the exact same stable environment.
Wow, yeah. That eliminates a ton of classroom friction.
Absolutely. And for debugging in companies, say you have a weird bug that only shows up on Linux, instead of spinning up a whole VM, you could potentially just open a tab, replicate the environment exactly, and debug it right there. Much faster, less overhead.
Simplifies cross-platform testing immensely. It feels like it's democratizing access to these powerful, previously cumbersome environments.
That's a great way to put it.
But it's new tech. It's bound to be shaky.
Yeah.
Right? What are the current big problems? Where is it falling down?
Stability is definitely the main one right now. You look at community reports, places like Slashdot, Phoronix, people are hitting issues. Apparently things like tight loops or really heavy I/O, reading and writing lots of data can still cause it to crash or hang.
So it needs more hardening. The runtime, the virtual drivers, they need optimization for heavy use.
Exactly. It's not quite ready for mission-critical, continuous workloads just yet. Needs more baking time.
And we mentioned the 32-bit limit. Any other performance roadblocks besides raw speed?
Yeah, there's a pretty significant one. Battery drain, especially on mobile devices. Running this kind of intense simulation just, well, it eats power. It's computationally heavy.
Makes sense. Are there hopes for improvement there?
The hope is that future web standards might help. Things like WebGPU 2.0, which I think is expected around 2026. If the browser can offload more work more efficiently to the actual hardware, that could potentially ease the battery drain problem, but we'll have to wait and see.
Okay, so technical hurdles remain. What about the bigger picture? Adoption challenges? Legal stuff? I mean, why would a company use this instead of something already established, like, say, WASM for web containers?
That's a really good question. That's the adoption hurdle. You've got this cool but experimental kernel port versus more mature, proven container tech. But there's also a potentially thorny legal issue lurking.
Ah, yes. The Linux kernel itself uses the GPL, the General Public License.
Right, and the GPL is famously viral. It demands openness. If you modify or link against GPL code in certain ways, your code often has to be open source too.
Okay. How does that clash with browsers?
Well, think about a big commercial browser vendor, like Google with Chrome. Their terms of service might have clauses about proprietary components or restrictions on how users can modify or distribute the browser's code. If they were to deeply integrate this GPL-licensed kernel tech, you could see a real conflict between the GPL's requirements and the browser's standard commercial TOS.
A classic open source versus proprietary clash, but playing out inside the browser itself.
Yeah.
Interesting.
It is. And one last point on security, even with the sandbox.
It's never perfectly solved, is it?
No, security is a process. That same Usenix paper that validated the sandbox also warned about potential new attack surfaces, specifically how this emulated kernel talks to the browser's underlying services, those web syscalls. It's a new connection point that security researchers will definitely be probing for weaknesses. Lateral attacks, perhaps?
Always something new to worry about. Okay, wow, we've gone from sci-fi concept to hard benchmarks to legal tangles. So pulling it all together, what's the main takeaway here?
I think the biggest takeaway is that Linux in the browser, while still young, is way more than just a gimmick. It's powerful proof that WebAssembly is really maturing. It's becoming this versatile, surprisingly performant, and crucially secure platform that's starting to genuinely challenge what we thought only native code could do.
It feels like a merging of worlds, the OS tied to the metal and the browser, the universal interface. They're starting to fuse.
Yeah, and in doing so, it's democratizing access to these really powerful tools for potentially anyone with a browser.
And it still has that wonderful open source vibe, doesn't it? Innovative, accessible, maybe a little bit chaotic still.
Definitely chaotic, but that's often where the breakthroughs happen.
So true. If you're listening and you're curious, and you really should be, go find the demo, try it out. Just run echo hello world or maybe echo hola mundo in that browser shell. Even if it crashes sometimes, just appreciate the sheer audacity of it.
It's quite something, and it leaves you with a really provocative thought to chew on, doesn't it? If we can get entire operating system kernels running this effectively, client-side, using WASM, abstracting the hardware, getting near-native speeds for critical tasks.
Yeah.
And the big question is, what does this really mean for the future necessity of all those remote servers we rely on? Is the era where you absolutely need server-side compilation or server-side testing environments, is that era starting to fade?
A profound question indeed. Something to ponder next time you open a new browser tab. Thank you for joining us on this deep dive into a truly fascinating corner of technology.
My pleasure. Until next time.